Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Market Legends. Today we've got the famous Thomas Sampson. So Thomas, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate you taking out the time. For the listeners who don't know, how would you describe yourself as a trader?
So as a trader, I'm a London Breakout specialist. So I specialize on the London Breakout. That's why I am.
Nice, very beautiful. So you're a full-time trader and you have trading tools. You focus especially on the London Breakout. Could you walk me through what that means for you and why you choose to specialize in such a deep approach?
Before, back in the days, about 2015, I used to trade different types of strategies, pullbacks, all sorts. But then I took a liking to London Breakouts. But when I first started it, I was looking at the way the professionals trade it, and I realized that they trade it well, but I can find a better way. So I took a dive into it, and then I realized London Breakout strategy is for me. It matched my personality. So I said, you know what, let's do it. So then I realized you needed to measure the Asian range to be able to trade the London break. So that's when I started diving in, going in, and then I finally found a way to do it that matched me.
Amazing. And you've
Yeah.
been trading for over 10 years. So what made you commit to this
Yeah.
one strategy?
Because it just felt like it was for me. I've tried different strategies, and every trader has to experience a strategy that syncs with them, and that synced with me. So I mastered that, and I just dived in, and then I became good at it.
So how did you, I mean, because there's probably a lot of traders who follow you, because I know obviously on
Hmm.
socials and so forth. So do you
Yeah.
believe that the trading personality is very critical to the trader themselves?
Is important, literally, even down to time frames as well. If you're trading a different time frame that doesn't sync with you, it's not going to agree with you. Your heart is going to race. It's going to feel very wrong. So same with strategy. It's got to sync with you. It's got to match you. That's it,
Interesting.
literally.
And what was it about yourself that kind of clicked with this particular strategy?
I just like how simple it is.
Mhm.
Measure the Asian range, trade the break. That's it. It's very simple. If you complicate things, it just makes things too much and you get like hot headed and stressed. Don't like that. I like simple.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that. Now, before we go deeper into the strategy and the mechanics behind the psychology, I know a little bit about your background. You told me that you used to be a bus driver at one point during your career. How did that kind of shape your journey and kind of transition into trading at some point?
Because, in the bus driving industry, it's all about punctuality. You need to be on time. If you're not on time, you could lose your job. That's how important it is. So that kind of structure kind of helped me in trading because you need to be on the chart exactly when you need to be. If you come there late, even 2 minutes late, there's many times where I've come there 2 minutes late and the market has already moved in the direction I wanted. And that's when FOMO kicks in. All of these emotions that didn't need to kick in, kicks in.
Interesting.
So the
Interesting.
bus driving industry helped me. Yeah.
Absolutely. So would you say that helped you build like a good structure and discipline as well as having a routine when it comes to trading?
Yes, definitely discipline. Because when you're driving with passengers, you need to be disciplined to watch the road and watch any bad thing that might come your way. So it just all links in. Trading is a reflection of your life. How you move and think in life is what's gonna reflect in your trading.
Absolutely. I'm a true advocate of the saying, how you do one thing is how you do
Yeah,
everything. So
that's it.
in terms of like expectations versus reality, so 10 years ago, you weren't trading, over 10 years. So back then when
Yes,
you started, I'm sure you had a lot of expectations till you have now. I mean, what
yes.
would you say has really changed from then till now?
Before I started around 2015, then I just thought I can make money quick. And I thought it's just a quick get rich quick scheme. So I just literally wanted to make money. That's it. But then as the years went on, I realized that trading is the opposite. It's a get rich slow scheme. So I started relaxing, learning the mechanics of trading, which I didn't do
Interesting.
in 2015. Yeah.
So it wasn't a technical shift, it was a psychological shift. So what
All
would you
psychological.
what would you say was the biggest milestone then in the turning point for kind of getting that psychological mindset? Because there's probably a lot of traders listening today who
Hmm.
have the mindset of, I just want to get rich. I want the Lambo lifestyle.
Yeah. For me, it's blowing accounts constantly because when you're trying to chase the rich lifestyle, it's going to automatically affect your trading instantly because trading is all about patience. And if you want a Lambo, you're not going to be patient, so especially when you're starting. So I just realized this is not what I thought it was. It's all about patience, structure, psychology, slow returns. That's when
Interesting.
everything changed for me. Yeah,
Because it's definitely a lot different. Because back then we didn't have prop firms. You literally had to get a
exactly.
brokerage. You had leverage. Now
Yes.
it's so easy to just get a prop firm, get a large amount of capital and blow it. And
Yep.
even blow it by losing money, but blow it by violating a rule. So what sort of advice would you have for those people?
Do you know what? I kind of feel sorry for the new gen traders because they're going straight into prop firms. Like you said, when I started, it was all about personal capital. So you learned the psychology of the money more, better, and everything. But now it's like they just buy a challenge, lose it, buy another one. So I feel like they should definitely trade a personal, especially when you're starting now. Trade a personal, get used to the trading, psychology, everything real. Because losing your real money is different from losing prop firm money. So learn the real mechanics, and then if you're profitable, then get a funded account. That's
It's
what I'd
very
say.
good advice. I would fully agree with that. So kind
Yeah.
of going on to sort of people blowing accounts and flipping.
Mm-hmm.
I know that on the topic of flipping, you have
Yeah.
you have a coin flip app story. Now, I think that's a
Yes.
very interesting story. For the listeners who are listening today, could you tell them a little bit about this coin flipping app story?
Yeah. So when I was unprofitable, trying to figure trading out, I started listening to like certain podcasts like IE, Mark Douglas, and things like that. And then I realized it's about getting profitable from many trades, not just the next two trades. So I thought, you know what, let me just get this coin flip app, because they always say trading is like a 50-50, like a coin. I said, let me just get this app and start flipping. I made heads -1 and I made tails +2. And I started flipping. Then I realized over like 20 trades, I was profitable. I just kept doing it over the next 20, profitable. I was like, what is going on? Then I started to realize, it started to register. Trading is about profitable over a series of trades. If you think you're going to be profitable from the next two trades, you're not letting your edge play out. Your edge is not going to play out. Then you're not going to know. And then many people just start switching strategies when all they had to do is just wait and flip, just like the coin flip. And then they would have been there. They would have realized.
Interesting. So for a lot of people out there who are trying to reach consistability
Yeah.
and they're not profitable, but they're kind of profitable, let's say doing the break even dance, because there's a lot of traders who are doing that break even dance. Would you say by
Yeah.
just simply building the mindset around flipping a coin would actually give them that edge to just persevere?
Big time, because it gets their mind into the probability mindset.
Right.
So that's what it does, literally. It gets you there. Then you realize, and then your subconscious starts to realize this is it. And then you start becoming it.
Right. And so at what
Yeah.
point did you stop seeing trades as individual and start seeing them more from a probabilistic side? Was it immediately after this coin flipping
It
situation?
was immediately. It was literally instant. It's like my brain just clicked. What are you
Interesting.
doing? All of this time, you're just trying to risk so much on one trade or the next two trades. You're not understanding it's over a series of trades. And that's when it clicked.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's what we love, those little gems for sure.
Yeah.
So kind of going into sort of your identity, right? So were you naturally disciplined when you approached trading?
I wouldn't say no. I was someone that always wanted to be right. I
Hmm.
wanted to, I was always, let's say I wanted to go to the gym. I was like, let me go in the next hour or so. Then I was a bit like, whenever I'm ready. But then I realized in trading, you can't be like that. So then it changed my trading when I realized that. And then that automatically changed my real life too, because they go hand in hand. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
that's when I said, yeah,
So obviously with trading and approaching trading, it's not as simple as, just coming to the markets. It is as simple as clicking a button, but it's not as simple as just
yeah,
making money. So
no.
what sort of beliefs did you have to kind of remove from your attachments to money, or what did you have to unlearn in order for you to start allowing success to come into your life?
This is a good one. So I would say what I had to do was first unlearn the way we was taught in school. Like money is this, money is that. Just having, a lot of people, like I grew up from a poor background. My parents always like, money, you need to, this is important. This £20 is important. This is important. And then it kind of reflected in my trading. When I started losing like £20, £50, I was like, oh, I could have bought a pair of trainers, or I could have bought something like this. Then I realized this is not the mindset to have in trading. So I started to learn to untouch myself from money. So when I started to untouch myself from money, that's when I wasn't emotional with the money. And it actually reflects in my real life, because now I'll just spend £20 and not even care about it, because it's linked to my trading, right? It's the same thing. With my trading, I'll lose a trade, I wouldn't care about it. So that's how it works.
Absolutely. I mean, you learned that detachment before prop firms. Now it's a complete different game for a lot
Yes.
of people because, you had to build your account up from whatever amount of money you had back then. Where today somebody can just do a prop firm assessment, get 100K, and now they're running 5%, they're in 5 grand profit.
Yes.
How does someone detach from that?
So that is an interesting one, because remember, prop firms, it's like a demo account. So even though they're seeing 5,000, 10,000, it's not real to them, because they're not trading their real capital. They only risked what they paid for the challenge,
Hmm.
which is at max £1,000 or something like that for like a 200k or something. And then that's it. They can go back to work, get that £1,000 back. So
Absolutely.
they can risk, they can afford to risk that kind of and get those kind of profits on a prop
Interesting.
firm.
So
Yeah.
I know that obviously you are a funded trader. You have an FTMO, Darwinex, Silver,
Yeah.
and having those things. Have you ever dealt with something like imposter syndrome?
Not really. But at the same time, I would say I did fall into the trap of when prop firms start to get popular of, I need to pass my challenge. I need to pass this. And it's crazy because I came from a not prop firm background. I came with my own cash, but it's like I kind of joined, I need to pass. And then I realized this is not good. This is very unrealistic. The
Mm.
real prop firm traders, institutional traders are not doing this. They're making 2%, 3% a month, things like that. I need to humble myself down. And I feel like prop firms kind of gives a false narrative, so
Interesting.
I had to, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah, and I mean that goes into like what we see on social media about this Lambo culture. I mean, to a
Yes.
lot of people out there who are quite new to the trading game and might have come across this podcast, what
Hmm.
sort of advice would you give them? Because they've probably come in seeing this big stacks of cash, fast cars, hotels. I mean, is that the reality of a successful trader?
That's not the reality. I would say this: if you start a business that's not trading, are you going to expect a Lambo? No. Trading is the same. It's a business, just like any other business. So you need to. I know I would say that the people above that like to show the flashy Lambos and stuff, they're using it as a marketing tool to get you to buy their course or things like that. But that's the real, really. It's just a
Hmm.
marketing tool. If you see someone in a Lambo, you're going to want to do what they do. You're going to follow them. And that's what they do, really. So
Absolutely.
I know this.
I agree. Yeah, it's a lot of work to be a self-promoting marketer and to be a
Yes.
full-time trader. It's something we've
Yes.
established over and over again with all the successful traders. So I want to dig a little bit deeper into some of the emotional dark moments in your trading. So I want to ask you the first question, which is, what is the biggest psychological challenge you've had over the 10 years of trading or over 10 years?
Yeah, I would say the main challenge was just not accepting to be wrong. I always
Hmm.
wanted to be right. When I used to play football, I wanted to be the one that scored. I just wanted to be right. And I feel like that was holding me back for so many years. I was blowing accounts constantly blowing accounts. I mean, I didn't have a mentor. I learned from myself. So I literally went through all the mistakes that you can. So I feel like that was a big one. When I started to realize, look, you can't be right. Trading is the opposite of what you think you should be. It's the opposite. And then I just started to switch everything on his head. And then I started to finally see something. I was like, okay, this is it.
So for a trader who might be going through, let's say, confirmation bias, and let's say they start their day, let's say similar to yourself, Asian session, they mark on Asian session, they're looking at it, and they get a confirmation bias where they're like, this is going short, and they start kind of building that mindset. How will somebody kind of overcome that confirmation bias and keep a neutral mindset?
Yeah, that one's a tricky one because although we create the strategy to trade the markets, we don't control the markets. So a lot of people get some false thing that, I create the strategy. So it needs to be like this. It needs to work because I create the strategy. But it's like throwing a stone in a big ocean. You have no impact on what the market
Hmm.
wants to do.
Hmm.
So that's why I realized people need to understand trading. It can be simple, but it can be really hard for you. It's all
Absolutely.
from the mindset.
So the
Yeah.
market just simply doesn't care. It just does what the
Doesn't care.
market does, but you just need to be
Yes,
consistent with what you know. Okay.
exactly.
Brilliant. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And talking about your sort of losses, I mean, what's the worst losing streak you've ever been on? And what was going on through your head during that period?
The worst one I think is like 7 losses in a row.
Hmm.
With that can break many traders. A lot of people actually quit just from that. It's very hard, but the only way to overcome it is by having your data, back test your data. So you know the probabilities over how many years, 3, 4 years, what your statistics say. Can you go for it? Like me personally, I coded my strategy as an EA and then I put it on a strategy tester on MetaTrader so I can test it through many years, 3, 4, 5 years to know what's the expectancy, what's my profit factor number. That's the data that gives you confidence. And I feel like a lot of traders don't do that.
And for those people who don't really believe in like EAs or things like that, I mean, when market cycles change, and let's say, you're in a bullish market, you start going in a bearish market, how
Hmm.
does one still trust that the EA will adapt?
Yeah, like me personally, I'm not really, I don't really trade EAs. I just use the EA, I coded the EA just to test my strategy.
Hmm.
But I like manual trading. I like to be active. It keeps the brain moving. It keeps me sharp. Or to answer your question about how they'll deal with the EA going through different periods, they need to test it on the strategy tester for a long time. They will see if it survived it or not, just from the data.
Interesting, interesting.
Yeah,
So let's
yeah.
say for somebody who has a low win rate system and they're hitting, right, let's say 7 to 10 losses in a row, how would they emotionally survive losing more than winning?
What I'd say for that is the only way they'll survive is if they know their strategy and if they understand that losing is part of
Mhm.
losing is literally the cost of trading. So if they understand, do you know what? I have a low win rate, so I should expect 7 or 8 losses in a row. I should expect. And if they don't want that, then they should go and trade a high win rate. You know,
Now that's
that's
very
it really.
interesting. So you're speaking from a mindset of someone who's already done the data collection. So you know what to expect. So you understand that if I take 7 losses, now I'm on the good side of the probability scale. So my next
Yes,
couple trades are going to be winning trades anyway because I've
yes,
stuck with my system. So it then gives you that
exactly.
confidence. So knowing them statistics and those data, does that enable you to, let's say, maybe change your risk parameters, or are you very disciplined and you just stick with what you know?
I like to stick with what I know. I like 0.5% risk. I
Hmm.
feel like that is enough to make growth and enough to help you through drawdown. It's like the balance. Sometimes I might do 1%, but I like that.
What about if you're in excessive drawdown? How do you deal with that?
When I'm in excessive drawdown, I first understand I know my stats. So I know I can get out of this. So I don't start panicking. I just trade through it.
Right.
That's it. I let the market decide what's going to happen.
And are you trading more than one trading setup, or is it just strictly one?
Just London breakout.
Right, right. And
Just
and would
one.
you say that's been a massive game changer for you over the years?
Big game changer. A big game changer. Because most people, they need to understand you can only make 1 or 2 good decisions in trading a day. So if you're making multiple, it's gonna give you brain fog, and I don't like that.
Right, right. So for a lot of people, because they probably take more than one trade or one setup. So they probably deal with self doubt, and they probably even question, can they even trade? How would they work through it? And there's a lot going through their head. What would you do if that was happening to you?
I feel like traders need to make things simple. Just trade one setup, one session, one pair. Get used to that. Once you're a bit used to it and you're consistent, then you might introduce another pair if you want. But me personally, just stick at one and just be consistent like that.
Right, right. Because for a lot of other traders, they probably deal with things like revenge trading, right? Now, you have one trading setup. So if that setup doesn't play out, then you've left it for the day and you've moved on. But for those
That's it.
traders who are dealing with revenge trading, how could they, I mean, if you know how to deal with this, which I assume you do, is can you catch yourself now or still in the battle? Like, what would you really say for those people?
Revenge trading normally, from my experience, comes from when you just can't accept that you lost and you want
Mhm.
to rewind time and go back to like 2 minutes before you took the trade. And a lot of people want to finish the day, okay, I break even or I made profit, but they don't want to end the day, I lost. So just get rid of the losing kind of mindset and understanding that it's okay to lose. That's what I say about that.
And has there ever
Yeah.
been a time for you where you knew the right thing, but you just couldn't do it?
Yes, 100%. Like, there's been times where I take a trade and then I'm like, what have I done? But it's too late and I want to come out of the trade and yeah, it gets messy.
And during those
Yeah.
discretionary moments, like, do you have like a set rule in place? Because every trader has their own set of rules. Now, some traders, they say, no, once I've set it, I leave it. If it hits the stop
Hmm.
or it hits the take profit, that's what it is. Like,
Yes.
with the way you trade, is there a lot of discretion involved, or is it very mechanical or systematical?
For me, I don't ever move my stop to break even.
Hmm.
That kind of thought of the break even, that's when you can allow the other emotions to enter. Anything that gives you a chance brings the bad emotion. So if I just say it's going to hit take profit or stop loss, I've removed a but if out of it, and it keeps me very like focused. So I just either hit take profits or stop loss. That's it.
And I assume that's probably one of the best ways to trade anyway, because like you said, if you're making too many decisions in a day, you're not making the right decisions. You're becoming a part of the manipulation. So have you ever before this, because you're very disciplined at this point, like you have your set rules, you don't take too many trades, you know what you're doing, you keep your risk well managed. But there's a lot of
Yes.
traders out there who are taking quite a lot of losses. And have you ever been in a situation where you've taken a loss so bad that it's affected your personal life? And how have you dealt with that?
Yes, 100%. When I started trading, maybe 2 years in, I actually went through a crazy loss that I decided I'm going to quit trading. So I actually stopped trading. I closed my computer, my laptop, I stopped trading for at least 6 months.
Wow.
And then one day, yeah, literally. And I feel like it's normal for traders to go through it. I mean, if they haven't gone through it, maybe they're lying because it can break you, especially in the beginning when you don't understand.
Hmm.
And then I thought, let me just come back. I want to just try again. And then after that, I didn't stop again. That was it.
Right, right. And why do you think
Yeah.
most traders can't emotionally survive losses? Like, what do you think the psychological barrier they have is with them making money? What's really stopping most of the traders that you've spoken to over the years?
I feel like number one, people associate losing with not being good enough or a failing person or trader. Like a lot of traders, they don't want to post that they didn't trade or they had a loss. They just want to only post wins, wins, wins. So it's giving this false narrative of you have to be a winning trader to be a good trader, which is completely wrong.
Absolutely. I mean, look, not everyone has come from the same background. There's going to be a lot of people that came from all sorts of different backgrounds, different financial
Yes,
circumstances. And for
yes.
those traders that are on the side of losing more than winning, how
Hmm.
would you really give them the advice on self sabotage? For example, let's say they take a winning trade, now their emotions are high. How do you stop yourself from wanting to take another trade if another trade setup appears and shows itself?
Once you take a trade and you lose the trade, reset. The next day is a new opportunity. You shouldn't carry your old situation to the new one. That's it, literally.
Interesting. Interesting. Now, on the topic of reset, because I'm a true advocate of the reset, but not every trader can do it because that requires a whole new level of discipline. What goes through your mind during this period where you're like, okay, no, I need to reset?
I just feel like I think the market will give me what it wants to give me. So
Hmm.
I just come with a processed mindset, like a process, and then I just keep going. That's it. Every day, just follow the process next. And that's all I do.
And were you always like that, or did you have to rewire yourself?
Yeah, I definitely had to rewind myself. I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
like that. Yeah, I had to realize that this is the way to trade. It's all
Right, right.
about the mind. Yeah.
And what's your internal dialogue like when you're in a losing trade versus a winning trade?
I mean, we're all humans. So even till this day, if I'm in a losing trade, I'm like, oh, it's going to hit my stop loss, like whatever. And then if I'm in a winning trade, I'm like, okay, yeah, great. But I just try to keep a level head, win
Hmm.
or
Hmm.
loss. I just keep it
Right, right,
level.
right.
Okay, I won. Because if you're thinking about, oh, I won my trade, the next trade could be a loser, wipe out your loss anyway. So just keep it level headed.
And do you have like a pre-market routine? Because I know obviously you're trading London session after Asian
Yes,
session. So
yes,
you'll obviously wake up early, I assume, to do your market preparations and whatnot. So what would you do
yes.
during that period to kind of get yourself in a good flow state?
I mean, before I create the Asian Range Pro, I would literally just be I might check the Asian range maybe in the midway of the morning, just AM to see what's going on. And then I might check the charts an hour before the London session to see what the range is like. And then it's very simple. I just check that. And once the range, my max pip range is sorry, once if my max pip range is not hit, then I know I got a trade for London session. So
What
that's
about
it.
New
It's
York
literally
session?
that.
A lot of people probably have this
Yeah,
question. Yeah.
yeah, my with a London breakout, the trade can carry from London all the way to New York. New York comes in and it can push your trade further to where you're going, or it can reverse it back. That's it. I just continue through New York, but I stop at London end. That's like about 4 or 5 o'clock GMT,
And the
and that's
question I
it.
have for you is during big news data like CPI, NFP, do you tend to hold through that news? Do you tend to get out? What's the situation?
Do you know what? I used to hold for it, but then I've just been burnt so many times. Even CPI has become a bit crazy now, just like NFP. So now I'll exit half an hour before on
Hmm.
CPI and NFP, but the rest is fine. It's just CPI, NFP.
And how do you deal with it emotionally when the trade ends up flying in your direction after you've gotten out?
I don't mind. I used to be annoyed by that, but now I just see it as at least I'm good. At least
Absolutely.
that's it. At least I'm good. It doesn't matter where the market goes after.
Yeah, wonderful. I
That's
like
it.
that. That's a very strong mindset. And I can already tell like a lot of people listening should adopt that as well, because I think statistically, a lot of people lose their prop firm assessments, even though they're in profit because of the daily drawdown limits because of CPI.
Yes.
You're either
Yes.
risking too much or the markets are just going wild. And even during slippage,
Oh,
holding
slippage is a big one.
like Euro New Zealand, for example, that's the most notorious one. GA as
Yeah.
well. These
Yes.
pairs. So during the nighttime period, because you might take a trade, let's say today, and do you ever hold the trade overnight?
Never. I always exit by London session end.
Line of session end. Okay. And what about
Yeah.
scaling into the trade? Do you ever add into your position?
No, I don't add. I don't add to my position. I just
Right.
risk 0.5%. That's it. Because I've used to add and it gets messy. When you lose more than you should have.
Interesting.
But
Very interesting.
yeah,
And how do you handle like just being wrong? Like, what's your relationship with being wrong, and how's that evolved over the years?
I understand in trading that it's okay to be wrong.
Hmm.
So it's like when I trade, I go into trading mode, and then real life, I understand that I can be wrong too. So it's like it just helps all around, you know.
Yeah. And have you ever blown
Yeah,
an account before? Because you mentioned, I know
yeah,
previously, when you first started trading, you blew so many accounts. But like over
yes.
the most recent years, have you kind of dealt in self sabotage or anything like this?
No, at least for what I remember, for at least the last 5 years, I haven't blown one account.
Absolutely. And for those people that are
Yeah,
blowing accounts, what's the best sort of piece of advice or advices that you could give somebody that is struggling with just trying to
yeah.
keep an account?
Just reduce your lot size. Just reduce everything.
Hmm.
But yeah, we're talking about risk. One thing that changed the game for me was using an EA. Well, it is an EA called Magic Keys by
Hmm.
Raja Banks. It was a game changer because it literally sets your risk and everything for you when you enter the trade. That changed the game for me. Yeah, 100%.
Oh, and do you ever use EAs around risk management to prevent you overtrading or something like this? Do you use any other type of tools?
No, not really. No, that's all just for my mindset. But the Magic Keys has a little bit of that in it, so it can help
Interesting.
traders. Yeah.
Interesting. So in the side of, because I know you've probably worked with a lot of traders and not all traders have the same mindset you have. When they start to tilt towards overtrading, self-sabotage, or maybe they're just not aligned with their beliefs, right? What sort of advice do you really give those people who just don't believe in themselves and their capabilities, but they they are showing really good skill and ability, but they just have that level of their identity doesn't align with the successful trader that they are becoming?
Yeah, I see that a lot. And sometimes I tell them, if you can't change your mindset, then you can't be a trader. That's
Mhm.
it. Maybe your mindset is good for another industry, but if you can't just get it, then yeah, trading might not be for you. Or
Yeah,
you
yeah.
might get into like investing. You can get into investing, crypto investing, things like that. But actual trading or charts maybe might not be for them. It's not for everybody.
And because from this conversation, I mean, it's already pretty much answered my next question, which was really more in terms of like how would a trader build confidence? But would you say that really comes from the data collection and just really testing the strategy, running it for an EA, just kind of really getting that mindset?
Yeah. The confidence, I would say, the confidence comes from having been able to trust yourself for the process. So
Hmm.
if you find that you're not disciplined to trust yourself, then you're not going to be confident.
Right.
Because I can have £1 million trading account today, and I know that I'm going to trade it the way it should be. Versus somebody that has £1 million, somebody else, they might just go crazy and just start blowing it. Yeah, confidence comes from you believing yourself to trust the process, and that's it. Yeah, that's
Now,
it.
Thomas, well, we're all human here, right? Ego, greed. How has that affected you in your trading, and how did you have to kind of tame that?
Yeah, I would say being humbled by the market.
Hmm.
The market can humble you, and when it humbles you enough, you get to that point where you're like, I need to stop this.
Right.
And that happened to me. Yeah, it happened to me. I always remember that point. Every trader remembers that point where it shifted for them. And for
Yeah.
me, is when I blew my last account, I was like, I need to stop this. It doesn't work. This way doesn't work. That's when it
Yeah.
shifted for me. Yeah.
Absolutely. Especially the fact that you mentioned this early on in the conversation is that you didn't come from a wealthy background. How
No.
did you start like connecting with more wealth? Like as you start seeing the numbers grow and you start to see your money grow, how did you start to realize that, okay, I can allow this into my life? And like a lot of traders out there, when they start seeing more money, they instantly start doing something to reject it from their life because
Yes.
their body's trying to pull them back into the comfort zone. So how did
Yes.
you break that comfort zone and allow more wealth into your life?
I just started focusing on my mindset, reading. Like, I don't really like reading. I like podcasts. I like listening. I'm a listener,
Hmm.
so I listen to different books, Mark Douglas, so many other things. And then I just started getting to the mindset of, I also back in 15, I joined a network marketing company, and they were big on mindset. Like everything was mindset. So I feel like that also helped me back then about switching from a bad mindset to a good mindset. And
You
I'm
start.
always, yeah,
So when you started trading, were you working on your mindset at the same time the whole time, or was it just fully technical
no,
focused?
I wasn't
Okay.
working on my mindset. No, it was literally just technical. I need to make money. That was it.
Right, right. So you probably went through a lot of trading systems, things that you never
Yes.
really had the right mindset to stick with. So at what
Yes.
point did you make the major shift that, okay, you know what, I need to fix my psychology? I mean, I know you mentioned blowing the accounts, but was there something in your life that just really kind of been like, no, psychology is now super important?
It was just realizing that trading is from you, not from the charts. That's when it switched for me.
Hmm.
When I heard a quote somewhere and it said trading is a reflection of you. And I said, you know what? I need to be a disciplined trader. Yeah, that's what it was.
Hey guys, quick pause in today's podcast. I want to introduce you to today's sponsor, which is Get Leveraged. Get Leveraged is a prop firm built by traders for traders, and their mission is simple: identify talent and reward them with capital. Now, here's where it gets interesting. If you use the code ML05 at the checkout, you'll get a discount on the challenge fee, but more importantly, you'll be enrolled into a lifetime trading league. What that means, you'll be permanently eligible for every single giveaway, milestone reward, major raffles, which means fully paid assessments, challenge resets, even funded account packages, and monetary prizes. And get this, their turbo challenge starts at $8.88, so you can get funded to up to 150k. That's insane value. Link and code is in the description, so let's get back to the episode. Interesting, because there's a lot of people out there, especially marketing influencers, who, you know, flaunt, I've never blown an account, I've always been profitable, this and that. I mean, obviously you're very honest, which I appreciate. And, you know, you said you've blown accounts. And for those people that have blown it, because I've blown accounts as well, and I know what it feels like to be on the side of, oh man, I've lost it. I need to get a new paycheck. I need to start building up from scratch. For those people going through that heartache and that pain and that stress, is there anything that you would give them advice? Because I realize that they're pretty much at the bottom of everything right now. And even though their skill set could be very high, what could they
Yeah.
do to start improving that from the ground up?
First, they need to reduce their risk.
Hmm.
I feel like trading a big lot size is the start of a disaster. Just reduce your risk, focus on also trade one. If you're someone that struggles with like psychology and all that stuff, just trade one pair, one session, and you'll be good. That will help a lot.
And if you had to trade one pair, and I know which session, but one pair and one session, which pair and session would you pick?
I like GPP USD.
Right. Well, but because you're in the UK.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. It's because I'm in the UK. I thought it made sense. And also I like the way it moves. It's very volatile. I also trade Euro USD sometimes, but I like GBP USD.
And
It's very volatile.
do you correlate them with the DXY, the US dollar index?
Not really. I like to just focus on just GPP. Like that's
Right.
it. Just the charts. I like to just look at the chart. What is it doing? Because I realize when you add different layers, it just gets complicated.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And do you use any indicators, or are you purely price action?
I'm price action, but the only indicator I mainly use is the Asian Range Pro, the one I created, because it helps
Nice.
me.
Okay.
Yeah, it helps me know the range, know what the Asian pip range was, and that's what I need to know to trade the London Breakout. That's
Interesting.
it.
Okay. Okay. We're going to touch
Mm.
up on that shortly. I have another
Mm-hmm.
question around the psychology. Now, let's
Yes.
say if you're having an off day, for example, anything can happen, you know, anything can
Yes.
happen. You're having an off day. Do you trade differently or do you not trade at all?
This is interesting. For me, no matter how I feel, even if there's a rainstorm or earthquake, I'm still trading because I know literally it's the process. That's what I'm following. It's just the process. I don't care what's happening.
Interesting. Interesting. So
Yeah.
very disciplined, very
Yeah.
structured,
Mm-hmm.
routine, processes, rituals. It's all there.
Yes.
And despite how good a trading setup could be to you, would you ever tamper with the risk? 1% maybe?
No, no, I treat it the same.
Hmm.
This, I
Hmm.
mean, the setup might look great, but remember, even a good setup can lose. So I just trade the same thing and let probabilities play out.
Right, right.
Because if you start changing your risk 1% here, 0.5% here, then when you're losing your 1%, you just lost more than you should have. And now you're back to square one. Now you have to trade 0.5 again. It's just 0.5%. I
Right.
mean, 0.5% the whole way. Yeah.
So for the newer traders, what would you say is one of the most important psychological skills that they need to start developing when coming into trading? Because like you said, you didn't start working on your psychology with your technicals, but had you been able to turn back the clock and start working on your psychology, what would the first steps in that area be?
For my psychology, the first thing I'll do is understand that trading is a reflection of you first. So if you're impatient, it's going to show on the chart. If you're not disciplined, it will show. So first thing I'll do is work on myself. And then after that, I'll find a good system, I test the system. And then I'll apply that to the charts, skin small percentage and see how it goes. That's it.
Interested. So keep the risk small, stay disciplined,
Yes.
build that consistency. And
Yes.
so do you journal your trades?
Yes. I journal my trades, but as of now, recently, I don't journal as much because I understand my data and I'm just following the process and
Right. Okay.
understand what. Yeah. That's why. Yeah. So I
Because
don't
it's so
journal as much.
simple and so repetitive,
Yes.
it's
Exactly.
it's not as required. And do you do any other forms of journaling? Because I know there's some traders who have a physical journal and they physically journal every day.
The
Do you do
only
some?
I've got an indicator called Snapshot Journal Pro. So what that does is every time I take a trade, it will snapshot 3 time frames or the time frame I want and keep it stored. So when I want to go back, I can go to the pair and see how my setup looked. That's what I have.
Interesting. That is a very interesting tool. And is that only specific to your trading system, or can any trader use that?
Any trader use it. Any trader can use it. As
Right.
soon as you enter the trade, it snapshots it wherever it is.
And is that free, or do you have to pay for that?
Oh yeah, it's not expensive. Yeah, but it's not free.
Okay, okay.
It's not expensive.
Well, I'll put a link of that in the description below if anybody's interested in
Yes,
that, because that is a very, very good tool. And I assume it's going to be extremely useful for so many traders. So,
100%.
regarding your psychology, I mean, would you say, is there any psychological traps that you've noticed in the market trading the London breakout that even experienced traders fall into?
I would say the number one, because I'm GPP USD, most of the major news, the red folder news, comes at 7 o'clock a.m. So I feel like a lot of traders, they're just technical. They don't check that. You need to check that so you know what volatility is about to enter the market. So I know before 7 o'clock, I know there's red folder news. So I'm going to expect a certain movement, and that's what people don't do. So they get caught out a lot. So that's a big tip there. If you trade GPP USD, always check 7 a.m. because that's when the major news comes out for London.
Right, because whenever I think breakout, I always sort of think fake out, and then I think
Yes.
flipped entry as well. So how do you deal with a fake out? Like you've taken the trade, it's
Yeah.
fake. Yeah.
Good one. Good one. Yeah. So for me, how I do a fake house, I also use a moving average.
Hmm.
So that will filter a lot of trades. It will filter in one direction. And I don't trade the traditional way of the London breakout. Because normally the London breakouts traders, they put a pending order on both ends and then they wait for whatever triggers first. I don't do that. So that already improves my win rate because they're trading everything. I don't.
Right, right. So how simple is it for a newcomer who wanted to learn how to trade like yourself, who's from the UK, they
Mhm.
want to trade London breakout like yourself? How long would it take somebody to adopt it, or does it really just depend on the person?
Is very simple. It's
Right.
very simple. It just depends on the person that they can apply the discipline to it. That's it.
Absolutely. As we've established over this podcast, it wasn't an overnight success story. You literally had to do so
No,
many things to get to this point. And I assume that, when somebody comes into anything, they don't just come in to learn a system. They can learn the system, but it's the psychological battle that they have after it that they need to learn to deal
that's
with.
it.
Now, after
That's
a
it.
win or loss, you've mentioned how to reset yourself, but you've also mentioned, how to deal with having an off day. But in terms of being under extreme stress or pressure, has your ability changed over the 10 years? Like, I'm sure you've learned how to deal with that really well, but for a lot of the traders you work with as well, what do you usually tell them when
Hmm.
they're feeling the stress of the market not committing? It's just sitting in the area of the entry. It's been like a few hours.
Yeah. First, I would say first, make sure your data is correct and you understand. If you understand that, and if it's just the randomness of the market, then just go to the gym, go and take a walk, reset yourself, go
Walk
outside,
away,
come back. Then
walk
you're
away.
going to be good. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. Walk away.
And for a lot of traders, it's not easy. We always see the little meme videos on the internet of, people waking up in the middle of the night, checking their trades, this and that. I know you don't have to deal with that
Yes.
because you don't hold trades over the night.
No,
But for those
no.
traders who don't have anything else to do, they don't go to the gym. They just sit by the computer watching the charts. Do you believe that that's preventing them from becoming successful?
100%. I feel like if you're trading intraday and it's too much for you, just go to swing trading. I started at swing trading actually. So we're back in 2015. Them days I was doing trading on the 4 hour, using the daily things. I was doing that first. I feel like it's a good way to start from above and then start going down time frame. But if you start at the 1 minute, it's just gonna scare you away. You're probably gonna run away from the markets.
Interesting. I mean, I know that you have a trading community, mindset trader fx.trade, right? Would you say
Yeah,
that plays
that's
a big role in your psychology?
yes. I structured my whole movement around psychology. Even the indicators I use, the ones I created, they all help with the psychology. And that's what I did. Yeah, that's all. just
Right, right.
psychology. Just that's it.
Why do you think most traders have banned the system after 5 losses? Because somebody could come in, use your system, take a couple losses and leave. I mean,
Yes.
they don't get to really experience or learn from a system. They just think, okay, you know what? I've tried it. I didn't make money. I'm going to move on to the next one.
Hmm.
Why do you think most traders do that?
Because they're in for the quick ride. They just want to make, maybe their life is like they're trying to find a system or a business, and they bump into trade, and they expect to just make quick money. And then if it doesn't work, they go to the next thing. More time, those people, they've been through 10 opportunities. They're
Right.
not here to understand trading is a long term thing. Yeah,
Right. And for all those traders out there who are actually looking for a good system, and they've been dabbling, they haven't really found profitability, and they really want to kind of get stuck into something. Could you talk to us a little
yeah,
about the MT4 ecosystem, the Asian Range Pro, which you mentioned, and how systematic tools help with their trading, but also their psychology?
yeah. So I first believe that indicator shouldn't make the decision for you. It should assist you. So the Asia Range Pro, the main thing is we measure the Asian range, London Breakout traders, but every single London Breakout trader has a max pip range that they accept or like for their trading. So for example, someone might have 30 pips, that's their max for their pair, or someone might have 22 pips, that's their max for their pair for the London Breakout. Because if you've got a compressed Asian range, the London seems to like move. It just moves in one direction clearly. But if you've got like a big Asian range, there's a high chance London might be rangy. It might be a range market, and that's what that affects everybody trading London. It's not just for London Breakout, because if the Asian range is wide, it's going to affect every single trader that is trading in London session. So the Asian Range Pro mainly filters that. So I used to download like some session indicators. I mean, there's so many online, but they all just print this every single every single range, every single day. And I feel like it can get tempting where someone might see a range, let me trade that. So my one filters it. So if you only trade max pips, 18 pips, you're only going to see 18 pips across the whole chart.
Yeah.
Every single, any day that was 18 pips and below is going to show. Any day that's not, you're not going to see anything on the chart.
Right,
And
right.
I did that psychologically, because if you don't see nothing printed on the chart, why are you trading? That means the Asia range is too big for your max pip. So you should just not trade. That's why I did it. I made everything psychological.
So looking at those sessions and kind of looking at that data, because I'm assuming,
Yeah.
again, you've done a lot of data collection to get to this point to actually even build an EA.
Yeah.
Would you say that you've noticed a lot of patterns within the market, not trading patterns, but patterns within the psychology side of, maybe on GA, there's been like a 2 a.m. move that's then repeated itself over and over again. And then you've noticed like similarities where you've seen, okay, Asian session is usually where this pair moves. London session, we
Yes.
get a retest and things like
Yes.
that have also molded you to be the trader that you are today.
I would say that every pair has its personality, yes. And some pairs, they just always have large Asian ranges. There's no point trading it. It's always large all the time. And there's some pairs where it gives nice compressed ranges. So that's better for a London breakout. And those pairs seem to have a better trend in London. So you just got to just look at different pairs and look at the personality. Then you understand, okay, this pair is good for this pair is not good for this. And
What
that's it, really.
psychological traits do you think is really required to trade this way? Like, what do you need to work on as a trader or side by side with just knowing the system?
The main thing is knowing that not every day is a trading day. Because, for example, today on GBP USD, Asian range was about 30 something pips, and that's way larger than what I want. So then I didn't trade. But some people can't handle not trading. They want to have action every single day, and it's not like that.
Right,
The
right.
people that make the most money trade less.
Right. So those people that are trying to trade every day, have you seen them really reach consistency?
No,
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 no.
they're trading. No, no way. Because
Yeah,
the
because
market doesn't give a strategy set up every single day. So
yeah. Sometimes you're in a very deep consolidating market where the market
yes,
doesn't move.
exactly.
So, like myself, I mean, I always have a saying where I say, not taking a trade is a trade in itself. So,
Yep.
having the ability to stay out the market is actually a win because you've saved yourself. So, is there any sort of quotes that you go by that have kind of stuck with you that have really helped you with your trading journey?
I would say you don't need to, this is a good one. You don't need to know what's going to happen next to make money in the markets.
Interesting. Tell me some more about that.
Yeah, like it's from Mark Douglas. He said you don't need to know what's going to happen next to make money. And that is basically saying you have your setup, you take your trade, but you don't need to know what's going to happen next. Because a lot of people like to predict predict. I don't do predictions. I don't predict. I just take the trade and whatever happens, happens.
Right,
That's
right.
it.
And if you could give us like a insight of how your day to day looks and how, if you have a weekend routine, what does that look like as well? So let's say you wake up today, do you have
Yeah.
like a set routine in place that gets you ready for London session? And what would that look like?
Well, I would get up about 6 o'clock. Yeah, and I'll maybe go and drink some water, get ready, get myself ready, do some push-ups to just wake me up.
Hmm.
And then I'll go and check the charts. And more time, because my strategy is so simple, the way I trade is so simple, I can literally log into the computer at literally 15 minutes before my entry, get everything done, and just take my trade. That's how simple it is.
Nice. Yeah. Was it always
Yeah.
like that?
No. I
No.
first started with so many confluences, and I feel like too many confluences actually affects your trading.
Right.
You're trying to
Because
control the market.
right, right. And for those people that do have, so much confluences coming in and it builds that level of decision fatigue, like obviously I know you're a true advocate of keeping it simple, simplify,
Yeah.
simplify.
Yes.
How did you get to the point of simplifying what you had already?
Good question. I feel like first I used to add so many confluences and it used to give me brain fog. Then I thought, let me reduce one. That makes sense. Let me reduce another one that makes sense. Then I start reducing and I realize actually the profitability is actually better. It's actually stopping me from good trades, this confluence. So I took that out. Then I realized I don't really need much at all. Just one, literally one or two. That's it. So
Absolutely.
when I see people charts that looks like a Christmas tree, I'm like, they got a long way. They got a long way. They got a long
Yeah,
way.
trust me. We've all been there. When we started trading,
Yeah.
we started working with trend lines, Fibonacci. We
Yes.
threw everything we
Yes.
could at the markets,
Yeah.
RSI.
Yes.
So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I get that, getting from a complicated place to a uncomplicated place. Now, obviously, for myself included, I have a very simple trading system. I don't trade more than two setups. And
Okay.
I got a high risk setup and a low risk setup, and I always go back to
Okay.
that. What do you have the same sort of variations? Because ranges can be very different. You could have gaps, you can have all sorts of things happening within ranges.
Mm-hmm.
So do you
Yes.
have higher in risk variants, or are they all supposed to look exactly the same when you take them? Because it's very hard to get the same price action over and over again.
No, it's true. Like for me, as long as the Asian range is what I want it to be, I take the trade because I stopped trying to predict. Oh, it's gonna go here. It's gonna go there. Because a lot of times I used to think, oh, the market is gonna go here, then it goes further, or it doesn't go there. I'm like, why am I even trying to predict what the market's gonna do? Just take the setup, whatever happens. And sometimes I'm surprised it just does a 13R or something like that. Wow, because
Right.
yeah, it's
The
crazy.
Asian Range Pro, what problem did that solve for so many traders?
The main problem it solves is it filters the days that you need to look at. It filters it. Normally, people look at session indicators. There's so many out there, but they just show every single day. Like I was saying before, this one filters only the day you need to see it. So if you go to the chart and you see my max pip range is not hit, then you might have a setup. If you go to the chart and it also auto cancels, as soon as it hits past your max pip range, it's going to cancel. So you might go to the chart and see no range. Oh, okay. That means I don't have a trading day today. It's already exceeded it. So it just helps with the psychology. It keeps you more disciplined.
I like that. I like that. I mean, you mentioned very subtle things there, like pip ranges and the amount of
Yes.
pips. So it's very mechanical in that sense where
Yes.
you don't need to be making too many decisions. The system is
No.
making a lot of the decisions and you're just
Yes.
acting upon the data that you're receiving in
That's it.
combination with, analyzing the data of the news and
Mm-hmm.
all of these things and being aware of
Yes.
the
Yes.
risks involved. So yeah, that seems very simple and straightforward. So look, there's probably going to be a lot of people listening to this thinking, okay, you know what, this guy's system sounds like too good to be true, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes it usually is, but in this case, this one sounds really simple. So
Yeah.
for a lot of people who actually want to find you, I mean, how could they find you? TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube?
So yeah, my TikTok is Tom the Trader.
Okay.
My YouTube is Tom the Trader FX. My LinkedIn is Thomas Sampson, Kwame Edu. But you can type Tom the Trader and it comes up sometimes. I think it does actually. And also, yeah, my Instagram, Tom the Trader.
I'll put all the links in the description below as well.
Okay.
And for some of the people listening, they probably are facing a lot of psychological battles. I mean, is there
Yes.
any psychological battles that you're still working on to this day?
I would say not getting ahead of myself and staying in my own lane because you can easily scroll on Instagram or TikTok and see traders living some big life, Lamborghinis, all of that stuff like we mentioned. Just understanding me personally, I choose freedom. I like freedom and I like doing things, have little things like I do snowboarding, I go on hikes, I like doing things like that. That keeps me happy. Not really like all of the things that you see online. Yeah. So that's what keeps me
Interesting.
grounded. Just stay on my own lane. That's it.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I have a skateboarding background, so I can relate to
Okay.
the freedom feeling of snowboarding.
Yes. Yes.
You don't get a lot of Brits who like getting on the snow, but you know,
I know.
one of a kind here. But yeah, no, absolutely. So, you know, dealing with that, so dealing with distractibility for a
Hmm.
lot of people, that's probably one of the biggest things happening in this industry right now is people being
Yeah.
distracted on social media, especially with all the information overload from all these different sources. What advice would you say to those people who are just sitting on Instagram or TikTok,
Yeah.
absorbing so much random information every day and they're not seeing success in their trading? Like, what
Yeah.
advice would you give them?
I would say find a strategy that suits you. Once you find that strategy, don't go on social media. Work on your strategy. Work in the real world of trading. That's it. Because if you keep looking at other people, you're gonna always want a strategy hop. Oh, it looks like he's making money. Let me go there. It looks like she's making money. Let me go there. You're never gonna find your lane. Find a strategy. Come off social media if you have to. That's it.
Interesting. And just to wrap this up with the last question, if you could give one piece of advice to all the listeners, one psychological truth that trading took too long for you to accept, right? Something that really stuck with you, was very difficult to overcome, and how you overcame it, what would it be?
It would be, I would say, you can't predict the market. That's it. You can't predict the market. Just follow in the process. Don't predict the market, and you'll be good. That's it. That's what helped me.
Okay, guys, you heard it here. Thomas Sampson, amazing podcast. Once again, thank you so much for coming on today. And I'll
Thank you
catch
for
you
having
all in the
me.
next podcast. You're welcome.